Yofi, good morning, everybody. Boker Tov. Thank you so much for joining us for our morning class in Chassidut, right here in Yerushalayim at 9:15 a.m. Today is Thursday morning, and thank you to Raya and Mordechai for broadcasting our class live and on our YouTube channel later on today. Since it's a few days before Tisha B'Av, so I feel that it's very important to prepare and to learn about the kelim, the special vessels of the Holy Beit Hamikdash. Yesterday, we learned about the menorah, and you can look up on our YouTube channel of Chabad of Rechavia of the details that we talked about yesterday. And today, we're going to share an unbelievable insight into the Aron Kodesh, the holy ark that was in the Kodesh HaKadashim, was in the Holy of Holies. And it's based on the Rambam. Maimonides says as follows. It seems to be like just reciting a piece of history, documenting a piece of history, but you'll see the profound message that the Rambam is telling us. He says, at the time that Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, built the Beit HaMikdash, v'yada, and he knew, shesofo licharev, that it's going to be destroyed eventually. So he built in the building, so to speak, makom lignozbo ha'aron lamata, a place to hide, to bury, to protect the holy ark lamata underneath, b'matmoniot amukot va'kalkalot, in the deep down underneath the Harabayit, the Temple Mount. V'Yoshiyahu Melech tziva, Yoshiyahu the king, as it came time towards the last few decades of the era of the first Beit HaMikdash, Yoshiyahu commanded, and he hid it in the same place that Shlomo built. In other words, Shlomo built a special place within the building of the Beit HaMikdash, a special place to hide it. In other words, he passed down maybe from one person to another person every generation, or maybe a couple, less than a handful of people that knew this special hidden bunker, hidden place, in order that the Aron Kodesh should be protected. So Yoshiyahu HaMelech, he was one of the few that knew this place, and he sensed that the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash is coming soon. So he built a special place for the Aron. So Yoshiyahu commanded, he told his people to take the Aron Kodesh down to that place. And then the Rambam brings a proof for it, and he says that also this Aharon staff was also hidden there, which did not come back in the second Beit HaMikdash. And then he talks about the Urim Tumim, the response that coming from the light of the breastplate of the Kohen Gadol, when people would ask a question, it would light up the right answer. So according to the Rambam, unlike others that say that the Urim Tumim was not around, what was one of those objects that were not around the time of the second Beit HaMikdash. He says it was there, but it did not respond. The Choshen was there, but it did not give answers. It did not light up with Ruach HaKodesh, with the divine inspiration. We know that the Rambam is a book of halachot. He himself writes that in his introduction. I have only come to write to you the halachot, the laws that I have to share. And the Rambam doesn't share history facts. If you want to read history, there are plenty of Sfarim that can share with you the history. So what could be the halacha? What could be the lesson that we can learn from this interesting episode that the Rambam chooses to share with us? The first point in explaining to you what we can learn from this is the way the Rambam includes certain halachot in certain chapters. So the first chapter basically talks about the building. And he himself says, Elu heina dvarim sheheni kar bebinyan habayit. He lists a number of things, including the Aron Kodesh, which are included in the quote-unquote building of the actual structure of the Beit HaMikdash. Then later on, in chapter 2, the Rambam talks about the different the different forms of the different kelim, the vessels in the Beit HaMikdash. In the 4th chapter, he talks about the walls and the chambers, and then he talks about the menorah. The question is, why does he include the Aron Kodesh in the 1st chapter, where he talks about the building of the Beit HaMikdash? It should be included in one of the chapters which discuss the vessels. From here we see that the Rambam understands that the Aron Kodesh plays a very quintessential role in the building, the actual building of the Beit HaMikdash. Even though the Rambam says that the main reason for the Beit HaMikdash is makom shemakrivin bo korbanot, it's a place that we offer offerings and sacrifices. And the Ramban, Nachmanides, says that the main reason of the Beit HaMikdash is for Ashrat HaShechina, for the resting of the divine presence. Nevertheless, the Rambam himself obviously agrees that the Aron Kodesh, which represents Hashem's presence in the Beit HaMikdash, plays a major role. So therefore, the Rambam writes therefore the explanation is as follows. When the Rambam wrote in the beginning, we talked about this right in the beginning, the beginning of chapter 4. He says, when Shlomo built the Beit HaMikdash, and he knew that it's going to be destroyed eventually, so he built a special room, a special bunker, deep down underneath Har HaBayit, the Temple Mount, to protect and to save the Aron Kodesh, the Holy Ark. From here we see that the Rambam is not just sharing with us a nice history lesson. Rather, the Rambam is teaching us something very, very fundamental. Yoshiyahu HaMelech did not just have a practical suggestion. Good idea. You know what? The Romans are coming soon to destroy the Beit HaMikdash. So let's put the Aron Kodesh in a special room. No. Over here, we're talking about the essence of the Beit HaMikdash. The Aron Kodesh is not a separate entity than the Beit HaMikdash itself. The Aron Kodesh is part and parcel of the Beit HaMikdash itself. Therefore, Shlomo HaMelech, in his genius, wisdom, and his Ruach HaKodesh, his divine inspiration, while he was building the Beit HaMikdash, as part of the building itself, he built a place for the Aron, a special room, a special place, that even when Chalila, God forbid, the Beit HaMikdash may be destroyed, the Aron HaKodesh should be protected. The Holy Ark should have a place, should have a permanence within the Beit HaMikdash forever. And as we're going to bring out soon, a couple of proofs. Therefore, Yoshiyahu Melech wanted to keep up the continuous presence of the Aron Kodesh in the Beit HaMikdash. So it's not that the Beit HaMikdash, Yoshiyahu Melech understood that the Beit HaMikdash cannot survive without the Aron Kodesh. So if anybody tells you, or if you look online about, I don't know, this blue light somewhere in Italy, some faraway place where they know the Aron Kodesh is now, it's a bunch of baloney. Because we now know that even during the time of the second Beit HaMikdash, the Aron Kodesh was there. It wasn't in its preferred place, in the Kodesh HaKadashim, in the Holy of Holies. But nonetheless, it was in there. Because in the beginning, when Shlomo built the Beit HaMikdash, he built, you hear that word? He built a place to keep the Aron HaKodesh there permanently until Mashiach comes, or until the second Beit HaMikdash was built, or when Mashiach comes, it will be put back into its place. But during the second Beit HaMikdash, unfortunately, it was not revealed. It remained down there in the deep down beneath the Rabbi, beneath the Temple Mount. From here, we have a very, very special message of the Rambam. The message is that the Beit HaMikdash is always here. What is the core of the Beit HaMikdash? The Aron Kodesh. The Aron Kodesh, there's never a scenario that the Aron Kodesh is not there. The Aron Kodesh is always there. It's part of the building. And so therefore, it's very encouraging and uplifting for us when we talk about the rebuilding of the Beit HaMikdash, the third Beit HaMikdash, hopefully this moment. If we look at the state of the Beit HaMikdash as being destroyed, then it's very, very disturbing, upsetting, and for some people it can be depressing. Because the Beit HaMikdash, Hashem's home, is not here anymore. But now that we understand from the Rambam that Shlomo HaMelech, in the beginning, during the building of the Beit HaMikdash, he established a permanent place. That the Aron Kodesh should never go away, and it's always there. So bingo, in a sense, we always have the Beit HaMikdash. Sometimes it's not revealed. And what do we have revealed? We have destruction. But if we peel away the destruction and we focus only on the positive, we focus on the pnimiyut, on the innermost part of the Beit HaMikdash, then we realize that in a sense the Beit HaMikdash was never destroyed. Because Shlomo, in his divine inspiration, built a part of the Beit HaMikdash that it should always be there. It should always be standing. So that's very, very uplifting for us. Now we understand that really there is no separation between the first Beit HaMikdash, the second Beit HaMikdash, and very soon the third Beit HaMikdash. It's all one long continuation. Ever since Shlomo HaMelech built the first Beit HaMikdash, it was, in a sense, standing until now, until the third Beit HaMikdash, because we know that the Aron Kodesh is protected and it's there. It's not in the original place, it's not in the desired place, but it's there. And knowing that it's there is hopefully very uplifting for us and very encouraging for us, that we should want to bring about the ultimate building of the Beit HaMikdash, the literal building of Beit HaMikdash, immediately, B'ezrat Hashem, if not sooner. So from here we understand as well that really, we have a phrase which is repeated often, which is repeated often in Chassidus, Yerida Tzarech Aliyah. A descent for the purpose of an ascent. So, if the purpose of the descent is for the Aliyah, for the ascent, then the descent is not really a descent. Because the whole purpose is for the ascent. So if there's a destruction for the purpose of rebuilding, then in a sense, the destruction is not a destruction at all. So over here we see clearly, that in the building of the Beit Hamikdash, there's a special room that was built for the Aron Kodesh. So even while there was destruction, and while there was suffering in Yerushalayim, nevertheless, we know that it's not real destruction. It's not real Churban. If we choose to take a magnifying glass and to zoom in the Pnimiyut, we'll realize that the Yerida, the descent, is not really a Yerida. It's not a time for a celebration yet. When Mashiach comes, we'll be able to celebrate. But in the meantime, we need to do everything in our power to bring about the Aliyah, to bring about the ascent. At Bezrat Hashem, we should have the rebuilding of the third Beit HaMikdash. Bezrat Hashem, it should be immediately this moment. Thank you very much for joining us. Bezrat Hashem, tomorrow morning, 9:30, same place, right here on Zoom and on Facebook Live. Shabbos, you're welcome to join us for a very special Shabbos, Shabbat Chazon, a big Kiddush in Yirtzeh Hashem for a special yahrzeit. And right after Shabbos, if Mashiach is not here yet, I believe Shabbos finishes at 8:26 in Yerushalayim. And so at 9 o'clock, you have a half hour to come here to Chabad in your slippers, and we'll have Ma'ariv. Of course, right after Shabbos, we say, Baruch HaMavdil Bein Kodesh L'chol. That's a short version of the Havdalah. And then those several words, and then we come to Shul, we daven Ma'ariv. 9:15, we will do the Eicha and the Lamentations. And Bezrat Hashem, 9:45, we're going to have a special documentary by Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson. Sunday morning, 8 o'clock, Shachris, followed by the Lamentations, the keynote. And then in the afternoon, 6:30, we'll be finishing the Shachris with Talis and Tefillin, and then Mincha, and then Ma'ariv, and then a little break fast. All the best. Have a wonderful day. Shalom, shalom.